Hey y'all, and thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Talk About It Thursday here on the Journey Podcast, where I am your host, Kiara. How are you guys? I hope that y'all are having an amazing week. I hope that you guys were able to check out Sunday's episode because, in my opinion, it was good. And last week's episode of Talk About It Thursday. If you aren't all caught up, please get caught up. And let me know what your favorite episode is. Um, I hope you guys are having an amazing week. And so, I think that's it that I wanted to start off. We're gonna go ahead and dive straight into this week's episode because I feel like this week's episode can get a little lengthy, because it is a topic that is very relevant. It's been really relevant in my life for sure. Um, and so today we're talking about equipping our children, to become adults. So, first things first, let's start off with what does it mean to equip someone? So, to equip someone means to provide them with the necessary skills, knowledge, information, or tools for a particular purpose. This can be literal, such as providing equipment for a job, or metaphorical, such as giving someone information or training to handle a situation. The core idea is to prepare and empower the person to act or perform effectively. That's good. I like that. I feel like, in my own words, equipping someone is just giving them the tools to do whatever it is that they're about to do. And so, of course, you come from a baby to a kid to a big kid, teenager, then a young adult, then an adult. And guys, it's so important that we prepare our children for this time, because whether we want them to be our babies for their entire life, they're going to always be our baby. But at the end of the day, you want your baby to be prepared. And a lot of the times, um, a lot of people that I know, and including myself, weren't prepared to become adults. We just had to kind of learn as an adult how to be an adult versus being prepared. Now, I am not telling you to let your kid raise themselves. I'm not telling you, because I think a lot of people get that. I think a lot of people get that confused, where they think that equipping their children to be adults is by pretty much allowing them to be an adult as a child. And then, here they are when they're grown and they're in grown folks' business and they're talking to you like they're on age with you. Then you want to then you want to be like, oh no, who are you talking to? But you prepared me to be, you treat me like I'm an adult. So I'm raising myself. I'm making my own dinner every night. I'm watching myself. I rarely have any adult supervision. um I'm just kind of like moseying through life. I'm learning to be an adult as a child, by just being forced to be an adult as a child. And so I do not, I don't parent like that. If you do parent like that, I have nothing against it. Your way is your way. But like I said, don't get upset when your child is talking to you like they're an adult, and then you're like, "Who are you talking to?" "I'm talking to you, homeboy, homegirl." You treat them like they're an adult, and so they act like an adult, and then you get upset that they're acting like an adult. And I think that just opens the door for confusion, as well as like, for me, that's just my thoughts. This is just my opinion. However you raise your children, and if it works for you, please do what works for you. But for me, I just think that I don't want my kids to get it twisted, because y'all need to know who's who, what's what. And so, as when I say prepare them, I definitely mean just kind of planting seeds, and and being the way, showing them by you being that responsible adult or whatever the case may be. Um, and so I found it hard to be a mom that was healing. And so I think that that was definitely like um, the biggest like struggle for me, just trying to heal myself, um, and be an effective parent, because how am I gonna pack my children with the tools that I don't even possess? You know? So it's like, and when I say tools, guys, it's more than just like financial management. I'm big on that because my background is in business and banking, or whatever the case may be. So I'm big on finances and teaching my kids finances because I did not know finances. I didn't know anything about credit. I didn't know anything about um, like in it becoming an adult. I didn't know anything about saving. I had taught myself all of those things, and so I don't want my children to have to teach themselves about that, because here I was like 20 something years old learning about how to manage like credit, you know? And so that was like, I should have already known this. And then so here I was, I failed, got this little credit card or whatever, ran it up and was like, yay. And then when I realized that I had to pay it back plus interest, I didn't know what interest rates were. I didn't know how interest rates work. I didn't know how interest worked. And so that's definitely one of the tools, one of the smallest tools that, which I don't think, I wouldn't say the finances are a small tool, but that's one of the most important tools that you can teach your kids. Um, but how do you teach somebody something that you don't know? You learn it. You learn it. You take notes. Um, you surround yourself with people that know these things. So I got my first job in banking at Wells Fargo, because it was entry level. So here I was, young girl, just working at the bank, and I was seeing how people would make their credit card payments. People would do like um, all the things like around credit and finances or whatever, and I learned like that. And so I took the things that I learned, and I was like, okay, I started implementing them in my own personal life, and then as my children are becoming of age, I'm teaching them those things as well. And so because Ziona is in 11th grade, y'all, she's 16. Oh my god, that's crazy. So I'm teaching her um these things, I'm teaching her about saving. I'm teaching my oldest three, so Torin, Monty, and Ziona, how to save and budget. And I'm not trying to control their finances, but I'm allowing them to make those financial mistakes where they earn the money, they would do their chores, earn the money, spend it on something silly, and then they want something else. And they're like, oh, I spent all my money. Yeah, you see how it is to work hard and spend everything you got because you weren't intentional with your spending. You weren't wise in your spending. And I am teaching them to have savings goals, and things like that. And so that is a part of me, that is a small part of me equipping them to be adults. Um, as a parent that needed healing, I found myself journaling a lot and just documenting where I was and what I felt like I needed to do to heal, and what I felt like, where I felt like I wanted to be in an emotional sense, and in a physical sense, and in every aspect of my life. Just journaling a lot for me has been beneficial. And so sometimes I go back to old journals and old journal entries, and I just see like, dang, I discredit sometimes how far I've come until I go and see a journal entry where I was at a very low point, and so I say, oh wow, look at where I am now. I am so glad. Sometimes I write down my prayers as well in my journal. And y'all, I have so much journals. I have so much journals, and I keep them because I just want to document that growth for me. And excuse me, and just seeing like where I came from. And so a lot of it has, a lot of my healing has been through, just communicating with my parents and talking to them about my feelings and my thoughts. But a lot of it also has come from self parenting. And so when I say self parenting, what's that, Kiera? Oh my God, what's that? Self parenting. Um, I got that terminology from a friend of mine that just kind of explained to me what self parenting looked like. And so self parenting was just being healing that inner child. So just being, and a part of healing my inner child was me being the parent that I wanted to have as a child to myself. So I always talk about this and how I was big on people showing up for me. So showing up for myself, acknowledging and acknowledging my own feelings and being able to be in touch with my own feelings and just that showing up for myself was basically the biggest thing. And so when I started doing that, it's like, okay, that's the parent that I also want to be to my children. Um I want to show my children how important it is to show up for not only what comes from them, but for themselves. Because a lot of times we neglect ourselves because we're so busy showing up for everybody else, um, that we forget to show up for ourselves, or we don't even have time to do that for ourselves. So, um, that's that's been a big thing. So self parenting definitely um it was a major part of my healing that helped me to equip my children. Again, that is definitely um a major tool that I want them to have. I want them to know that it's important to show up for yourself. So also I had to use my own journey, use my own growth, use my own healing um as means to equip them. The mistakes that I made, I had to learn from them. And I had to say, okay, how do I teach my children how to do XYZ without them having to make a mistake? And so just vocalizing, I communicate with my children so much. Um, the you're a child, you don't that's none of your business. I don't play that card with them at all. I am very vocal, like even with going through separation and a divorce, I was very vocal with them. I was letting them know what happened, um letting them know what mistakes I felt like I made. I can't speak for anyone else, so I can't tell them what mistakes I felt like someone else made because that's not my place. And so I spoke on my part to my children, the ones that are old enough to understand. Um, and I still just kind of like when it comes to relationships, Ziana is in a phase where she is considering dating. And so I'm talking to her about boundaries. I'm talking to her about feelings. I'm talking to her about, about just the different aspects of a relationship. My baby is 16, y'all. Oh my God. And so she's interested in young men, And so it's just like I'm equipping her to not only be intentional with who she selects as far as who she'd like to date, but just like um how to be a partner if that's something that you're looking forward to doing, how to do it. And my husband also is definitely the way he is with me. So she sees that he buys me flowers. She's like, oh my God. She called her friend, she was like, my mom my mom was man buy her flowers. He don't play when it come to her. He makes sure she have everything she need, and she admires that. So another thing is to make sure that the people that you surround yourself with, be intentional with that. the activities that you support, the activities that you entertain, the things that you just listen. When I say kids pay attention to everything, they are watching everything that we do, and they're listening to everything that we say. And so the company that you keep, be mindful of that. You want your children to see you maintain healthy relationships. You want them to see, and that's like with your partner, that's with your friends, that's at work. They want to see, they don't want to see you go to work and come home stressed out. That all these things, guys, play a big factor in equipping your children, because they see you come home from your job stressed out all the time, and you're like, and you're pooped or whatever the case may be, and you're like, oh my god, oh, I hate this job. And now they're thinking, oh, I hate this job, but I need the money. And so now they're thinking, like, okay, well, I know that regardless of whether I like my job or not, I'm going to need to settle for whatever I can settle for if I need the money. And I don't think that that is a good seed to sow into your children, or a seed to plant. Like, I don't want my kids to think that they should just take anything from their employer or their coworkers or whatever the case may be because they need the money. No. My oldest son made a comment because he wanted to get some Robux. And he made a comment where I had to correct him when he said it, because um, he was like, he only had like 25 cents in his bank account. He had 25 cents to spend, like in his spending account. And he was like, Mama, I will do anything for some money right now. And I was like, no, you won't do anything for some money right now. That, so let's correct that. That's not the mindset that I even want you to have, because no, because you go and tell somebody else that, they be like, what you willing to do? And now you want drugs or something. Mm-mm, son, we not saying that. We're not saying that. Or now you're like just doing something you ain't got no business doing. And so no, I corrected him and I told him the what he should have, what I felt like he could have said differently. I felt like he could have said, um what chores can, because you know what you're willing to do, and you're asking to do a chore. So be clear in what you're asking for. Don't say, oh, I'll do anything for some money. No, because now you better do something strange for a piece of change. I didn't say that to him, but like, this world is not going to be as kind to your children as you are. And so me equipping him for um to be an adult, let's not even make a habit of saying anything like that. We're not saying that. No. We ain't saying nothing like that. Like, no. So I told him, I was like, what do you want to do for you to make the money that you need for the Robux? Which I'm glad that they already possess the knowledge that nobody's just gonna give you anything. You have to work for what you want. And so he knew that he was willing to do some work that I would offer for him to make some money. And so he was like, well, what chores can I do? So he corrected himself after I corrected him. And I left the door open for him to make that correction. So I said, now say it again to me. Like, what do you want? What are you saying to me? And so he was like, what can I do around the house? Like, what chores can I do to make the $10 that I need for some Robux? And I was like, okay. And we went from there. But in all things, guys, it's so important to make sure that you are correcting them and not correcting them, and correcting them along the guidelines that you have. So what works for me may not work for you, which is fine. What I believe, you may not believe, and that's okay. There is no right or wrong way to parent. You parent the best way that you see fit, the best way that you know how. But like I said, you want to be intentional. So make sure that there is some intention behind what it is that you're like, how you're raising your children. Um, Also, guys, I feel like don't get me wrong, I indeed um was a teenage mom, a young mom, of multiple kids. And so, and so while that was the narrative for me, guys, um, when it comes to parenting, I honestly feel like you can never be too prepared to be a parent. However, um, it's hard to have to heal and raise children. It's not easy. It's hard to have to grow up still and raise children. So when my children become young adults, I definitely would like to encourage them to be sure that prior to reproducing, having children, um, to make sure that they are equipped fully to take on that task, because that's not a task that I personally take lightly, and I would love for them to not also to take that, I mean, to not take that task lightly when it comes to like being somebody's parent, because here you are now, you're responsible for somebody else. And so I want you to be able to be responsible. I don't want you to still be childish and just like, still trying to figure things out, still have friends that are doing little childish things. So, you know what? You just want to make sure that they are in a good space prior to having children. And so, again, like I said, make sure you're surrounding yourself with people that you're intentional about the people that you're surrounding yourself with. You're intentional about the people that you bring around them. You're intentional with everything that you do. And in order for you to not have to be one of those parents that says, don't do what I do, do what I say, you doing what you say also um, can be beneficial. And I feel like teach your children the things that you wish you knew as a child. So teach them financial management, teach them how to give grace, teach them how to be patient, how to be kind, um, how to just show up for themselves and show up for others, how to value self care and things of that nature. Make sure that they see you doing these things, and they see, and you also not only show them that, but you explain to them the importance of all the things, because I mean, in your adulthood you're still going to learn things, but the basics, the things that you wish that you knew going into adulthood, teach them those things, um make sure that they're ready, you know, because this world, like I said, is not going to be as kind to them as you are as their parent. It's not going to be as kind to them as family members, and we as parents are not going to always be around. So we're not going to always be there. My grandma used to say, you got to learn these, as I asked her a lot of questions, she was like, you got to learn some of these things on your own, because I'm not going to always be here. And as lightly as I took it, it wasn't until she actually wasn't um, there anymore. She passed away in 2020. I miss her so much. It wasn't until she passed away that I realized she really is not going to always be here. And so, yeah. And guys, you can teach your children these things as the custodial parent or the non-custodial parent, because what I think a lot of people fail to realize is even though you're not physically present, you can still um be present even in your physical absence. um there are parents that are physically present and they're not present, they're still absent. And what does that look like? You can be in the household with your children all day, every day. Uh, you can come home to them from your job, you whatever the case may be, and not be emotionally available for them. You can come home, you can be in the same household with them and not be effective as a parent. I don't know why people think that, oh, um, their parent in the household has to have full impact on them, and that's it. No, you can be impactful. You can be, I know people that are incarcerated that are amazing parents, that are the most influential parent. The kid might listen to the parent that is incarcerated more than, the parent that's incarcerated is more effective than the one that's in the house sometimes. And sometimes we have parents that are in the household, but they're not in the household. And so here your kids are, you in the next room, and they're emotionally distraught. Here you are in the next room, and your kid is suffering from depression. You can be physically present and still be absent. And so, parents that are non custodial, don't be discouraged. Be intentional. You can still equip your children with the tools that they need to be an adult. Don't give up. Don't let that, if you feel like the custodial parent may not be such a good impact, you got more work to do. And this, guys, is why it's so important to make sure that you are careful who you have children with, because you don't want that to have to be the narrative where you got to be 20 times a better parent. Which, I mean, of course, the goal is always to be a better parent, but you got to do 700 times more work because you have to help them unlearn unhealthy habits, habits that, and like I said, guys, there's no like, I don't want to say there's no wrong way because there is a wrong way to parent. But I mean, if you're trying to be a good parent, there's no guidance book. There's no rule book. There's no like real like nothing telling you like what you should and shouldn't do um as a parent, because at the end of the day, that's your kid. You do what you want to do. But I encourage you guys to be intentional. I encourage you to be try to be as effective as you can. Do that work on yourself that needs to be done. Do that self-parenting that needs to be done. Write in your journal, heal, become the better version of yourself, and so forth and so on, because our kids need us, and we're not going to always be here. We're not going to always be available. We're not going to always be able. And so, if you plant those seeds now, um, they're going to always be there. They're going to always. They're going to always be able to come back to those things that you sowed, those seeds that you sowed into them. And so, like I said, be intentional in your parenting. Be intentional in your self development. Listen to different podcasts. Listen to these self growth, self help, and things like that, so that you can become the better version of yourself, so that you can properly equip your children to be in environments that they're not used to being in. You can equip them to be able to adjust, to set boundaries and things of that nature. And like I said, I mean, these are things that they need in this world. This world is not going to always be kind to your baby. And so, with that being said, start now, start now, start strong. Don't quit, don't give up, custodial, non custodial, it does not matter. Your physical presence means nothing if you're not intentional. You're, and so, yeah, be there for your children, show up for them, equip them with the tools that they need to be an adult, to be kind to others, to be successful. Even if just even if you weren't, let them know the mistakes that you made. Be vocal with them. Tell them what happened. Tell them what you wish happened. Tell them what your intentions are. Um, just be mindful, Um, be mindful of the company you keep, the behaviors that you accept from friends, from family members, from your partner. Um, show up for them kids. Show up for yourself. Yeah. Other than that, guys, the homework for this week. Let me know something that you wish that you knew prior to becoming an adult, prior to becoming a parent. If you haven't became a parent, you are a part of a village, and you are a part. Like, it takes a village. That term, is so true. Y'all, I'm in the house, but I have my arms, and my husband keep this house so cold. And I be okay with it as long as I got a little hoodie and a little blanket. I got a blanket everywhere, okay? You're probably looking at why you got this fleece on, girl. But yeah, if you're an aunt, if you're an uncle, you have impact um on these kids. You're a part of a village. How are you being intentional to them? How are you showing up for them? What seeds are you sowing into your nieces, your nephews, your godchildren, these children in the community, and so forth and so on? Guys, we are our children's teachers. We are definitely, if we're intentional, if we're present, we are definitely the most impactful teacher. Before the teacher at the schoolhouse, what they learn at home, um, teaches them more, helps, prepares them, molds them more into the person that they're going to become than, um, than their teacher at school does. And so plant that seed. That way, when they do get to school, you don't have to worry about behavioral issues because you're teaching them to be kind, you're teaching them to behave, you're teaching them things of that nature. If you are becoming a parent, or if you're thinking about becoming a parent, um, this is definitely some tips that you can use coming into parenthood. Like I said, there's never too prepared. Um, I feel like even becoming a mom at 16, I feel like I am just as good as a mom of a mom as somebody that waited until they were 36 to have kids. And so age doesn't matter. I do not promote, I do not encourage teen pregnancy. So that's not what I'm saying at all. What I am saying is it doesn't matter how old you are or how prepared you think you are. If you aren't intentional in your parenting to a point where you're capable of planting good seeds, or you have somebody that has the same. I don't care if you're married or not married, because waiting until marriage and not waiting until marriage. I was married with kids, and so that did not. If you and the person, if y'all's values and morals don't line up, those are things to pay attention to, because, like I said, that will be the scenario where one parent will find themselves working 10 times harder than because they have different morals, they have different values, and so forth and so on. So make sure that you and your partner are on the same page. Make sure that you guys have the same morals and the same plans. Just a little short story. I overheard a conversation the other day where um, a dad told their kid to go ahead and do, like, and these people were married. Go ahead and do 2 years of a community college, and then do the last 2 years at a 4 year. And the mom didn't agree with that, and she after the 2 years um, of his community college, she was like, I wish that he would have just gone ahead and went to this, because now this is what it looks like. And so they weren't on the same page, and so when it came to their kid, it was a challenge that the dad was like, oh, whatever. But the mom was like, man, I wish my kid didn't have to experience this, because if they had just did what I wanted to do, that conversation was an argument for them. And so, make sure you're on the same page about everything, about daycare, about, because some people don't want their kid to go to daycare. Some, like, make sure that these things are things that you talk to your partner about prior to having kids. Aunts and uncles, make sure that you're intentional with the way that you are, the way you carry yourself, around your nieces and nephews, the things that you do, the conversations that you have, and so forth and so on. Just be intentional with all of that. Again, the homework: what did you wish that you went into adulthood? And this is whether you have kids or not. What tools do you wish that you had prior to going into adulthood? What do you wish that you were equipped with? Um, yeah, guys, and that is this week's episode of Talk About It Thursday. Guys, don't forget to get those encouraging videos in by October 23rd. I would appreciate them so much. Go on the website, visit the website, do what you need to do to make sure that you're up to date. I love you guys with my whole heart. I hope that y'all are having an amazing week. And yeah, I'll see you guys later. Thank you. Bye.